Welcome to another episode of Meet the Expert. Today I'm here with Tim Smith, one of the leaders in Cincinnati, and we're here at the Cincinnati VMUG UserCon 2018. Tim actually has never seen one of these videos, so he does not know what I'm going to ask him. But this is literally talking about you. We're going to meet Tim Smith today. So one of the things I'd like to start with is, how did you get into IT?
So,
and you can be super detailed. I have no time restrictions here. Just give me a good, I just want to get to know you.
All right, well, I guess in high school, so I went to school in the middle of a cornfield, and we actually still had typewriters. And I'm not that old, so graduated in '99 from high school. We finally had like IBM 2, I don't remember what they were, but we had IBM computers finally my senior year. I didn't do anything in it, but when I was in 8th grade, my uncle gave me his old TRS-82, Trash 80, and I put it in my basement and I started playing with it. And so first thing I did was, fire up QBasic and just learn how to write a little command.
What?
And
because I've heard a lot of people say, like older people, they started with grabbing games off the back of magazines and stuff.
Yeah.
When you say QBasic, I can only think of Gorilla.bas and stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty much so. And I created a little program that just asked you your name, a couple things about you, and then it spit all those variables back into a paragraph, which I learned my very first lesson about programming then, which I am not a programmer, is when my mom came downstairs and looks at it, and this was like in 1995 or 4. She looks at the screen and says, "What is your name?" Blinking cursor. And she looks at it, bends down and goes, "Heidi." So I promptly changed my program to type in your name. Yes. So yes, if anybody's wondering, Dragon Naturally Speaking, my mom, you owe her royalties. So I don't know, it just kind of all started there. And then I just kind of got hand-me-down computers and started tinkering with them. And so it just kind of evolved. I never grew up with any sort of technology. And I don't know, it just sparked my interest. And
where is this? Like you say, middle of a cornfield. Is it this here in Ohio? Yeah,
so Northeast Ohio. I think I graduated with like 30 people in my graduating class. So,
what did you go after? Like, did you end up going to college after that?
I did. So I actually debated about going into the military or going into college, and military would have been a way to get to college. But I went to a local branch, local campus of Kent State University, and I was originally just going to get an associate's degree there, but one of the instructors there was a Microsoft certified trainer, and he got them to actually bring in the MCSE classes as credits. So I got to take, for Windows 2000, all 7 of those MCS classes for college credits.
Yes.
And so I ended up...
And that's probably, that changed your whole life right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then from there, I actually just worked for VARs until I just switched over to Veeam about a year ago. So I'd always worked for resellers.
Wait, go back here.
Yeah.
You finished? Did you come out with a cert? Do you have the shiny paper?
I had an MCP. I didn't get my MCSE until later on, because then...
So at that point, did your, mentor tell you, hey, go talk to these people, they're looking for people like you, or... How did you get that first job? Because normally that first job is the difficult one.
Yeah, so I was lucky that I went from normal like college jobs. One of my coworkers in the Sears, I worked in the paint department. I still know nothing about paint. You can tell us this. Yeah, well, I still know nothing about paint. But one of my coworkers there, her dad worked at the local county engineer's office. So she got me a job working for the mapping department, and they were just switching over from Mylar hand-drawn maps to digital mapping. So that was kind of my first computer gig, because I was working with a Autodesk clone to draw maps, and we had an NT server there, and I kind of took care of that.
Yeah. And then that was your, like, this is what I studied for, but I also do this as work. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of like my entry point, which then helped me get my first gig, which I consider my first computer gig, at a place that mainly did like radios for local EMS departments, and they had towers up, and
very cool.
Did a lot of phone systems. And they said, well, our phone guy wants to deal on the computer side, and we're just starting that, but you can be the phone guy. I just happen to know more about computers than the phone guy, so we had to switch.
Yeah, to switch little by little.
Yeah. And so that started. I started working with, mom and pop shops. 2, 3, 4, 5 PCs and networking them, and slowly, we would build a server.
What was your bread and butter back then?
Oh boy.
Was it like Windows 95, or were we already talking Windows 2000?
So we were Windows 2000 at that point.
So TCP/IP.
Yeah, TCP/IP. We dealt with, I think, the Cisco Pixes, the little, had just come out.
Really small ones, yeah.
Yeah, and so, that was a big deal to set up VPNs between their facilities, and, I had to go through and correct my boss's allow IP any rules.
when I got trained in the previous job on those small Cisco Pixes, the most important thing that the guys taught me was grab the configuration from one side, and grab the configuration from the other side, and compare it line by line.
Yeah.
Because you'll find it. You'll find what the problem is.
And most of the times in these small customers anyway, I just save the config and then just, change a couple things, upload it for this new customer, and you're fine.
All right, so that was literally your help desk phase, where you have to go and deal with whatever shows up, right? When did you actually graduate into what you would consider a big move in your career up, maybe as more of an engineer / architect role?
So the next move up, we actually handled, I would consider actual businesses. We were selling real servers, HP branded servers.
Same company, or did you switch companies for this?
This was a switch. So I got married, moved to a different portion of Ohio, got a job, and
still not Cincy?
Still not Cincy. Now I was up in Northwest Ohio.
Okay.
I'm just kind of working my way around Ohio, apparently. And so we actually started dealing with real servers, real infrastructure, clients, introduction of Citrix, Exchange, all the major applications that businesses use. So it's really been a stair step. So the next VAR I worked for dealt with even larger clients. But that's the one where I was introduced to, one of my coworkers there was a vExpert and had a blog.
Oh.
And he...
Name the guy.
Justin Paul.
Okay.
At RecklessOp on Twitter. And I figured something out for terminal services in a VM where users on terminal service could actually disconnect the NIC, because the NIC was seen as a removable device. In vSphere, I think we were
USB NIC.
Yeah. So that was my first blog post on how to correct that. So your users.
He literally told you blog about this.
Yeah. He said blog about this.
Come to this side.
So I blogged about it. I did a couple more blogs. I signed up for a Twitter account.
There you go.
And
vSphere 4. You got in early.
Yeah. And that really, then it just snowballed on from there, honestly. So being in the community got me more contacts.
When do you remember when the first time you went to a VMUG?
So the first VMUG was here in Cincy when I still lived in Northwest Ohio. So I drove 3 hours, and we had
Why were we willing to drive 3 hours?
So Josh Atwell was coming down and doing the keynote, and it was talking about careers. And I was thinking about making a career move, and I can't remember which career jump I was going to do, but I remember that was my first one.
So basically, you knew Josh Atwell from Twitter, from the community.
I didn't even know him from Twitter at that point, but I just saw he was talking about career change.
And you said, I'm gonna see this. Okay.
Yeah.
When was the first time you talked at a VMUG? And if it was in a different job, tell us about it.
So it would have been, I think, about the next year. So at that VMUG, I had reached out to the leader saying, hey, I want to help. And now I'm a leader.
1 year later?
So we were speaking.
So first VMUG you went, you said, I like this, I want to help.
Yep. And then from there I helped. And so it wasn't really like my first
Did you give a talk before, or were you a leader?
So I was assisting somewhat and then a leader. I didn't.
Yeah. Typically, we give everybody a trial phase. Are you going to stick around, kind of thing?
So we had a weird scenario here with schedules and schedule conflicts. So the leadership position was needed more than speakers.
Okay.
And
all right. So you've been a leader for Cincy for quite a few years. Yeah. I mean, compared to the typical VMUG leader who maybe lasts 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
I think it might be 4 years now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Although secret out, none of the Cincinnati VMUG leaders attended the UserCon last year.
It was actually Ken Bone that did everything. Shout out, Ken.
Previous engagements. We love you, Ken.
All right, so when I met you, I remember seeing you had a blog and you had all these little stickers and everything. You had a really good branding on your blog.
Yes.
All right, that's when I met you. But you said you just moved to Veeam a year ago?
Year and a couple months ago, yeah.
Okay.
So now I'm on the vendor side.
Tell us about that, because you worked at several VARs as you were growing your career.
Yeah.
What made you finally say, I'm going to go to the vendors?
So I was looking to make a change. I've always been a big Veeam fan. I was in their Veeam Vanguard program. It's like the VMware vExpert program.
Yeah. Just with a little nicer perks.
Yes, yes. A lot nicer perks.
A lot nicer perks.
Thanks, Rick. And we did a lot of installs at the VARs I was at, but I wanted to deal with even bigger environments. And I also was kind of tired of being a mile wide and inch deep, kind of speak, so I wanted to really focus on one area. And I had some contacts, and at that point, thankfully, I was already a Veeam certified trainer, so I was actually had given some classes for their VMCE certification.
What made you take that course? I mean, it's one thing that you like this thing. It's another thing saying, I want to be a trainer in this.
I like talking.
Okay.
And so it just...
Had you been training something else before this?
No. I like talking. I like the technology. The guy in charge of the certification program at Veeam was like, hey, we're looking maybe for a couple freelances. Are you interested? Why not?
Okay.
I could earn some more money, and but because of him, I was able to get the job at Veeam. So Rasmus Haslam, he recommended me, and I hopped onto the solutions architect team.
Cool.
And it actually kind of really worked out well that I started to look, and the company that I worked for at the time sent out an email that said, we're not going to be able to make payroll.
And you're like...
Red flag number one.
Yeah, you're like sinking ship.
Yeah, so over the next month, it was kind of we're bankrupt, we're Chapter 11, we're not. Eventually, I never got paid. But I had a ton of community.
Easy.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
But I was able to reach out to a lot of people. And because of the community, I can't even name them all, but there was a handful of people that were saying, well, let me see what I have at my place or this place. Reach out to so-and-so, they've got a position open. And I had interviews that first week.
Yeah.
And that's
something we see all the time.
Yeah, and if I wouldn't have gotten involved with Twitter or the community or VMUG, I would have been, I think,
not
months.
Even 10% of that outreach. So you're a VMUG leader. You've been in Twitter forever, But you've been here longer than most people I have. Tell me about, if you have to explain it, and you have to explain it because you get, one thing I see in the VMware ecosystem is that we get new people all the time. People that had been maybe big into VMware in the 5.0 days, maybe they have grown into architect roles or they have grown into other technologies now, and we have all this influx of new people that are coming into VMware that probably never seen even, I won't say the C# client, but they definitely did not know a lot of the pains that we used to go. They're just seeing VMware for the first time, and they're getting an all-flash array, right? So tell me about what...
Dang kids.
Dang kids, they never knew about storage problems. Tell me about how you interact with people that come in new to the V community and how you explain all of this. So obviously you start with VMUG, but then how do you get them into the greater or global community?
Yeah, so normally, if they can come into a VMUG, I encourage them to keep coming back and at least to talk to somebody new that they haven't met.
Yeah.
So if they see somebody that's in the VMUG that they haven't met before or haven't seen in the VMUG before, talk to them, find out what they do, who they are, and go from there. Beyond that, I usually actually recommend, because Columbus and Indy are so close here, that go to those UserCons as well. Especially the Indy UserCon, because it's huge. But I recommend Twitter because it just seems to be our platform of choice for the VMware community. So, but it's mostly...
Do you ever tell them, go follow this list or whatever?
So normally what I tell them is to search for VCDX and just follow that list to start. Because
you're going to get a lot of
super smart people. Yeah. And then from there, it just kind of seems to be an organic build of your follower list anyway. But I usually tell them, if you're gonna look, look for VCDX or search for hashtag vExpert. And usually there's questions or support or just resources posted.
Follow
with that
anyone
hashtag.
you see that think seems to be smart.
Exactly.
When I started, I was subscribed to Scott Lowe's blog by email. I didn't know about Twitter, but he would mention Twitter, and I would see it in the book that people would put their Twitter handles in. I may have seen it, didn't understand it, and when I finally went and looked at Scott Lowe's Twitter, I realized that he put a blog out every 2 weeks, but he was talking all day on Twitter. I'm like, look at all these good conversations over here.
Yeah.
So that's when I made the move from, okay, let me make this thing. And I followed every book author, every VCDX, like you said, and then the vExperts and all these things.
And when I first saw it on Twitter, I'm like, what is this? This is so stupid.
This is not like Facebook at all.
Yeah, and I didn't even do Facebook. And but now it's a tool. I mean, it's not just
it's a micro news. It really is a very fast way of disseminating information and finding the information you want. So, all right. So I think we've gotten to know a little bit about you, but there's something missing. Okay, tell me about your hobbies. Tell me what you like to do for fun. Tell me about your family.
Oh boy, hobbies. I really actually enjoy home lab stuff. So, kind of a hobby.
By the way, full disclosure, I bought at least part of his old home lab. That was why I was here last year.
It's true. There's great little boxes too.
Yeah.
Let's see, home lab. I used to be. I really enjoyed working on my motorcycle. When my wife and I had children, we decided to get rid of the motorcycles. But let's see. So I've got 3 kids, a wonderful wife, and I take care of a small farm. So we've got horses on property.
Oh my God.
And maybe we're actually making a move to a bigger farm here. We'll see in a couple days.
Very cool.
But so I enjoy engines. So tractors, cars. I like to tinker. Nothing fancy, but I like to tinker with anything.
Weren't you at the LAN party?
Yes.
Okay, so you're forgetting about the gamer part here.
No, I like to game. So I'm not like 14-year-olds kill me all the time if I play any sort of first-person shooter. I enjoy it, but like StarCraft, Warcraft, stuff like that. I was never a World of Warcraft person, but Guild Wars 1 was too many hours. Too many hours on that. Yeah.
All right. If people want to, so I'll give you one last statement, and then how can people reach out to you?
All right.
What do you want people to know about you? What advice you want to offer people that are out there trying to get into stuff?
I would say the best advice is don't worry about what other people think. So I was an introvert, kind of, as far as I didn't want to reach out to be social. I was a great talker if people initiated talking with me, but that was the big thing, was figure out, just walk up to somebody and talk to them, especially in this community, especially when it comes to technology. People just like to talk about it. We always know that there's that one IT guy that just has to let everybody know how smart he is, but most of us are not like that at all. So
it's always fun for me, because you may think you're really good at something, and then you say, well, I ran into this problem, and then somebody out back says, well, you need to do this. So where have you been? I need to talk to you.
But don't discount your own experience, because you're never you never want to be the smartest or the least experienced person in the room. And I think that was the hardest thing for me to realize, was as I started knowing stuff, was, do I need to write about this? This seems like common sense. But to me, 3 years prior, it wouldn't have been common sense.
Correct.
So that's the big thing too. If you know something, share it, because
anything that stumped you is a good thing to make a blog post.
Exactly. So that's my advice.
Okay. So what's your blog?
So I blog over at Tim's Tech Thoughts, tsmith.co, and I also do some video podcasts and like 101 level videos at v101.tv.
Very cool.
And then you can find me on Twitter at tsmith_co.
Cool. Where did that CO come from?
So when I was searching for a blog, tsmith.me was taken. tsmith.com was stupid expensive. And all the other variations of my name, the .co was like $9 a year. So it was an act of monetary desperation.
Okay.
So
That's cool.
now I can't change it because it's part of the branding.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tim, it was really nice spending some time with getting to know you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.